Past few months, everybody's been dying. Like everybody.
Why?
Because of heroin.
But it's laced, isn't it?
Has to be. It's probably laced with fentanyl. I stopped counting after 24.
24 people you knew?
Yeah, I stopped counting after 24.
This country's in bad shape. It's in bad shape. You could live richest neighborhood in the world, poorest neighborhood in the world. The drugs do not discriminate. You think I live over here, it's not gonna happen. Believe me, it's happening. It happens to rich kids, poor kids, middle kids, white kids, black kids. There's no discrimination with this stuff. And they better do something about it major, because kids are dying every day. And we're not talking 1 or 2 kids. Kids are dying all over the United States from this. And parents, it's a living hell trying to live through this.
This is Sayerville, New Jersey, a town of 42,000 people located on the Raritan River. Sayerville, like thousands of communities across the United States, is convulsed by an opiate crisis that takes the lives of 91 Americans daily. This is the story of one of those victims, Shannon Miller, who died when she was 23.
I sit home and sometimes, and I still do, and Megan will be out and Cam will be out or something, and I'll sit here, watch TV, and I'm waiting for her to come through the door. Oh yeah, well, she's not gonna come. Shannon was the center of attention on anything, no matter whether it be good or bad. I mean, she always had to put her little quirky things in there, whether it be coming in here dancing and, and doing crazy things. But that's just who she was.
I miss her.
Shannon was one of a kind. One of a kind.
Yep.
Good girl.
She had compassion for everybody. She did not like the fact of not having anybody like her. So she became that bubbly type of person. She had many friends. She was athletic, very good in soccer, was on a soccer team in school, rec, travel. She was just a great little girl.
She used to take little selfies on her dates. I think this was one of her mini golf dates. Went to the little wolf sanctuary. She used to like to take pictures of us all the time, Mm-hmm. She'd get really happy. She was really excited when we moved here. It was like her first time in her own place, so every single holiday she would just deck the entire house. I have like 4 bins full of decorations that we all just got within the span of a few months.
She had everything going for her. She was going to get engaged. She had a nice apartment, and she was doing all the right things. She had a wonderful guy that loved her unconditionally. We love Boris. Like I was saying to you before, that if Shannon did anything right in her life, at the end was picking him. He helped her in every way he could.
When it comes down to it, though, I mean, she was an addict, and I mean, that's more powerful than anything else. I mean, there were individual sort of reasons. I mean, I know she's had traumatic experiences, a lot of which I don't really know, like, the details of, but, I know there's been some abuse in her past. I know that because of medical conditions, she has, she gets very, very serious migraines, and the heroin was helping with that. Eventually that does stop helping, but, that was something that she used. I mean, she suffered from depression. I mean, heroin temporarily treats depression and treats physical pain. She just has a proclivity to it. I mean, she loves being high. She loves a lot of things. I mean, she loves Disney, She loves apple picking. She loves to go apple picking. She was allergic to apples. There's a lot of things that made her really happy, but, she just loved being high,
I remember her coming home and saying, "Mom, I think I'm an addict." And I'm like, "Well, what?" Just blew me away. And then when she had told me heroin, I thought that was the end of my world. How? Why? When? And then it's thematic, what did we do? Was it us? Did we drive you to this? She says, "Mom, it was never your fault. It was never Daddy's fault or anybody's fault. But a parent doesn't understand that.
How old was she when she told you that?
She was probably 17, 18. We did not know anything about any kind of drug addiction. We didn't know what steps to take. And when we had found out that this is becoming a problem, we had told her that she would have to go into some kind of a treatment program. She didn't like it. She didn't think she had the problem. She was in denial, no, 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 but she did what Mom and Dad wanted to do. After that, we figured, all right, you know, she got the education, she understands this, blah, 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 and a week later, she relapsed.
They tell you 30 days and you're cured. There is no 30 days and you're cured. It's like you should be in rehab or a minimum of 6 months to try to get any treatment. These 30-day miracles do not work.
I'm sorry that I never took any advice that somebody gave me when I had first went to a meeting when I found out about Shannon. How can they sit there and make Shannon out to be a bad person? She's not a bad person. She's a good person. So we never went back.
I remember the first time we went to a meeting. A fella told me this is his 17th time his son or daughter relapsed. And we were only at our first time. And I said 17 times. I said, oh my God. And he said, you'll be there. You'll be there somewhere in that line. And a couple years later, he was right.
The screaming, the yelling, the fighting that went on in our house, I'm surprised my neighbors didn't hear, to the point where she was so bad that she became like almost like a hoarder type thing. Everything was her possession. Her feelings of, why is everybody leaving me? Why is everybody taking my stuff? Material things. And I said to her, and I said, this has got to stop, because I don't know how to handle this no more. And I said, if you want to help, then you have to come to us. And that's what she did. And she came up to me and she says, Mom, I need help. And I said, all right, fine. Well, I got on the phone with my sister. I said, I need a place for Shannon to go, but I want her out of Jersey. Within 20 minutes, she had a place for me down in Florida. Within a week, I had her on a plane. My husband and I and her on a plane down here, hooked her up, left her there for like 3 months. It cost us over probably $10,000, $12,000 just to get her down there. Finished the program there, but now she had to go to a halfway house, did not like it. So my husband drove all the way down to Florida, Delray Beach, and brought her home. She was fine all the way home. Everything was going good, and a week later she relapsed.
What was the financial cost for you as a family, of Shannon's addiction?
If you added everything together, I'd say close to $100,000. Easy. Easy. And if you don't have insurance, they don't want to know you. And if you don't have cash, they don't want to know you. If you have insurance, they don't take it. Half of them don't take it. Well, we ain't taking that. And you're fighting with the insurance company. They don't want to cover you. It's a total disaster.
What did it make you think about Obamacare?
Obamacare, I could give you 2 words. It sucked. And I still think it sucks. For my wife and my one daughter was out of pocket every month. Premium was like $990 a month. And as far as rehab, it was like a 60-40 thing. And rehabs didn't want to know nothing unless you had money up front on some of these. And it was almost like $10,000 a month. It varied $8,000 to $10,000 a month. The insurance company would pick up some of it, and you were responsible for the rest of it. And a lot of them were only 30-day treatments, and then you were done, according to the insurance company. 30 days, and you're out. And it got very expensive, out of pocket.
You said that you wanted her out of Jersey, or really out of Sayerville.
We didn't know that, okay, well, it's everywhere. It's not just Jersey. But in our heads was, that's where she got it from, so if she's not in Jersey, then she can't get it anywhere else.
How easy is it to get in Sayerville?
Every street corner. Every street corner. I had questioned Shannon, where are you getting this? She said, Mom, you can't imagine. And I'm like, enlighten me. She says, if you see anybody on a street corner any time of day. You know, they're probably, you know, dealing. I'm like, you're kidding. She says, no. She goes, they're in the stores. They're in your restaurants. They're in your supermarkets. Everywhere. I said, how do you know the person? She said, you just know, Ma. They know what you're looking for.
Did Shannon's addiction drive her to such a point where she had to steal?
I don't think that she stole from, like, stores. She did steal from us.
She stole jewelry from me several times, stole money from me several times.
Selling clothes, whatever she had to do, regardless to anybody, you have to do what you have to do to feed your addiction. In the beginning, it was insane because she would let us think that we misplaced something.
I literally think I lost my mind because I was like, I know I put it here. I know I left it here.
And we were tearing the house apart. We would ask her questions. Did you see this? No, I didn't see that. Did you take this? No, I didn't take it.
And I knew she took it, and she would clearly say to my face, I did not take your jewelry. We would fight about it, and I'd fight my parents about it because I didn't put it away, or I didn't lock my door, or, you know, you shouldn't have left it out.
And I remember one incident, I took my wedding band off, and I was cleaning the dishes, and I put it in my jeweler box, and I went to go put it back on, and it was gone. And I'm saying, oh my God, where did I put it? You know, and I'm asking all my kids, I'm asking my husband, no, I didn't see it. And I asked Shannon, I said, Shannon, did you see my wedding ring? She says, no, Mom, I didn't see it. Are you sure? No, Mom, I didn't see it. After about 3 hours of tearing my house apart, I found her upstairs in her bedroom, crossed under like a fetal position on the floor, crying. I said, what's the matter with you now? I said, Shannon, do you know where my ring is? She goes, yes, Mommy. I took it, and I hocked it. You did? Let's go. Get in the car, get in your father, and we'll go into the place. Luckily, the guy thought something was not right, and he saved all the jewelry that she hocked. I had to buy it back, but he knew something wasn't right, and one of the jewelry was my wedding ring. And I had a hard time forgiving her for that, and she knew it because she cried the whole time, pleading, Mommy, please forgive me. Naturally, I did at the end, but because I got it back. But I knew that this was a deep problem for her now. It's getting deeper and deeper.
Because they beat themselves up for what they've done. It's
Yes.
almost worse on them.
Yes.
My uncle was an alcoholic, and I had my prized .22 Springfield rifle, which my grandfather had given me. And he came over one day to my grandfather's house and took it and hocked it so he could go buy beer. He knew what that rifle meant to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a bad day.
You know, when things go missing, she's the first one to blame, and you don't want to blame her when she's doing good. But at the same time, when you thought she was doing good, she wasn't doing good. And that's when things disappeared. So, trust was hard. And like, I blame myself because, you know, when she was doing good, I still had my guard up because I didn't want my trust to be destroyed again with her. So,
do you think that she felt at the end that she wanted to stop and she couldn't?
I mean, it's never really one or the other. She definitely wanted, I mean, there's definitely a part of her that wanted to stop and didn't want to die. And she worked really hard on her recovery. I mean, she just kept doing all the right things also. You know, she went to meetings, she worked with her sponsor, you know, she did all the right things, but it was just too strong for her. Even in, you know, during her last relapse, you know, she would tell me that while she was getting high, she wanted to die. You know, and she knew that it was only happening while she was getting high. She, you know, she intellectually knew that connection, but at the moment, you know, you're depressed, you're in pain, and, you know, it's really the only thing that helps. One thing leads to another, and next thing you know, you're getting high again, you want to die again, and then you're treating it again.
She said she knew she was going to die soon?
She's like, Cam, I'm sick, I'm dying, I know.
Did she mean from an overdose?
Yeah.
heroin is hitting parents with insurance that could afford rehab. There is more heroin and more painkillers. I mean, that is true, but that's definitely the reason for the concern. I mean, I have friends out there that had generation after generation that were using that never gotten any compassion. And all the awareness campaigns, it's all hidden language saying, see, it could be your kids, it could be white kids, it could be suburban kids. Now it's time to care. Like, you should care because it could be anybody. Meaning when it wasn't anybody, like, you know, then obviously nobody gave a shit.
Like, everywhere I look in Sayerville, I always think of Shannon, you know? Because I'd be like, oh, me and Shannon went there, or, oh, you know? Or, oh, I stopped and I used drugs there.
What is it that you think was attractive about the drug?
It makes you, like, feel good about yourself. Well, not feel good about yourself, but, like, it makes you feel good inside, you know? Like, everything doesn't matter.
And how much would that habit cost you?
It depends. Probably like $80 a day at first.
$80 a day?
Yeah.
Man, that's expensive. How long was it before your parents began to suspect that you were using heroin?
About a year.
Oh, wow. What was their reaction?
Well, see, my mom got in contact with Shannon because she didn't know what to do.
And she knew that Shannon was
a recovering addict. Right. So she called Shannon. She basically told her what to do, like what the signs were.
And do you remember what she said to you?
Yeah. She said that I'm not a bad person and that it's okay.
I think it was October or early November when my mom and I were sitting on the couch, and she called and she was on speakerphone, and she was like, I gotta talk to you guys. And we're like, what? And she was like, I used again. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, here we go again. You know, I know it was too good to be true.
We were here and we were sitting on one of these benches, and we were having like a deep conversation about, like, I don't know, life. And she's like, Carly, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, what? She's like, I relapsed. She started crying and I just held her, you know, just hugging her.
Why is it so hard to stay free from that drug?
Because your mind tricks you. It's very difficult.
Soon after I found out that she was using again, you know, it got a little bit worse, and then she had an overdose, which luckily was on my day off. So I found her within 10 minutes of when it happened. So, she, you know, when I found her, she wasn't breathing, but, you know, her heart was still beating. So, you know, the lady on the phone, you know, she told me how to do, the CPR and everything, and, you know, by that time, the medics and the fire department came, and they gave her Narcan.
Didn't know what hospital she was in. My mom's calling all the hospitals saying, is Shannon Miller there?
Her dad called me freaking out because she didn't know where because he didn't know where Shannon was. Nobody knew where Shannon was.
Finally found her. I'm getting rushed out the shower. I'm dripping wet, and I'm just going to the hospital, and she wouldn't let us see her because she was of age to say no. And a roller coaster of emotions coming out. Sister slamming the door outside, not knowing if my sister's gonna make it out alive.
When we go to the hospital and find out that she's overdosed, you know, I'm screaming and want to, like, strangle her when I see her. And it's a normal reaction I found out to have to want to, someone that you care and love about so much. Do you want to kill them for doing this to you?
So she survived that. You know, she was in the hospital that night, and then we went straight from the hospital to Carrier Clinic, which is an inpatient rehab. She was only there for, I think, a week or two, but she got a lot out of it, and then she was clean for a couple months after that. And then she relapsed, and then when she relapsed, she started relapsing again. I definitely had a sense that something bad was going to happen. I don't know what it was, but it was spinning out of control.
Were you aware of that struggle, those last few weeks?
Yeah. a week before, not even a week, like 4 days before she overdosed and died, she was at my house. And I knew she was high, so I kicked her out.
Huh.
That was the last time I saw her.
Do you remember what you said to her?
Yeah. I do. Wasn't very nice.
What did you say?
I did tell her I loved her, you know. I was just like, I love you, but you can't stay here, you know, like, you have to stop getting high, you know. Just that stuff. But it wasn't very nice, you know.
What did she say?
She understood.
Huh.
She hugged me.
Huh.
And she left.
At the very end, she was using more and more. I wanted to give her a Vivitrol shot. It's a shot that helps with cravings and, you know, stops you from being able to get high, which she never wanted to get the shot before. But, you know, eventually she agreed. She said she agreed. I mean, she didn't want to do it, but she said she agreed. But you need to have, like, 7 or 8 days clean at least. Some people recommend more, but really at least 7 or 8 days clean, you know, in order to do that, which was getting really hard to do. So I kicked her out of the house, and she ended up with a friend in a safe place where she was away from drugs. So she almost made it, you know, and then she ended up coming back. She had to do some blood work, you know, I had to take her to a few doctors. So she ended up coming back here, and then the day before the shot, she ended up relapsing again, which would mean that we would have needed another week. We would have had to start that all over again. That was on a Wednesday, and then the next night, Thursday's the night when she overdosed. That night, you know, it was a little late when I left. She was still here. She was in a good mood. You know, if it was in the evening, she'd always be standing there waving at me, you know, bye, baby. You know, and then when I'd come home from work, if it was like midnight or whatever, you know, she'd be out here smoking a cigarette. She'd be like, hi, baby. It was like her little greeting. I usually get home on Fridays around 9:30. I found her in the bedroom on the floor. She was in her jacket. She had her cigarettes. This is where I found her. She was on her way out to smoke. Later I found, you know, the empty dope bags and needles in the living room. So whatever she did, she didn't hear it, went inside, got her jacket, you know, was about to go outside to smoke. But she had been laying there all night. I didn't think she was dead. I have Narcan shots now at home for this reason, and you know, and I know I do CPR now, so I was doing CPR and I was calling 911 and I was giving her the shots all at the same time, but it wasn't having really any effect. I mean, it was useless because she was dead. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the one I used.
This device has been used.
Yeah. Okay. So by the time the medics came, I guess they realized pretty quickly that she had been dead for too long.
I was home alone, and I woke up, the doorbell was ringing.
Well, I was at my work, and my principal came into my room, and she was like, I need you to come into my office really quick.
And they sat me down. And mom looks at me and says, we lost her.
And my aunt was like, Shannon passed away.
And I just went berserk. I crawled up to the ball, screamed, saying no.
And I said, I literally went numb. I think, what did you say? She said that Shannon's not with us anymore. Prior to that day that you waited constantly for that phone call because you knew it would happen someday, you know, she was in and out of hospitals. She was using here and there. You're not going to last forever doing that kind of stuff. So it's like a waiting game. When's it going to happen?
Did you think that she would ever overdose again?
No. I mean, it's always in the back of my head, you know? It was always in the back of my head. I mean, she's using. I knew she would overdose, but I didn't know she would die, you know? She was my best friend.
Or before I got the ring, I gave her this bracelet that just said I was going to marry her. She was all excited about it. It was, you know, it's from like a cheap place where they could engrave stuff, but says, I promised to marry.
I kicked the wall when I found out that Boris was going to. I wanted to marry her, and I knew Boris wanted to marry her. And I remember he gave her like a ring. It was a blue ring, a promise ring, I'll say. And she was showing it to us on Christmas. She goes, it's not an engagement ring, but it's a promise ring, and I'll take it. And I was mad that she had a whole life ahead of her that probably would have been really good with Boris. And hadn't she just realized that, which I know she knew, but you know, when addiction takes over that part, it's lost, and I wanted her here. So I was mad. I think everything's going on. I just kicked the wall. Didn't purposely mean to break my toe, but I guess I just kicked years of anger out and did what I did.
I remember you telling me you would talk to her.
Yeah, I talked to her. She doesn't talk back.
After Shannon overdosed, at one point afterwards, you asked Boris a question. What was it?
Oh, where's the bags then? Like, where's the bags that she used?
And why? Why'd you ask?
Because it was just like an addict response, like, because when people are using like heroin, most of the time they try to find out like who overdosed on them, because usually those bags are really good. And yeah, so in my mind it's just like, oh, now I gotta get those bags.
Even though she'd overdosed on those bags?
Yeah.
Fentanyl, it's an opiate, but it's like 50 or 100 times stronger than heroin, or at least than morphine. And it's used. It's expensive, but it's used. They mix it in an occasional bag of heroin because it usually causes an overdose. And then when somebody overdoses, people assume that dope is really good. So, you know, if you have like a bundle of dope and one bag has fentanyl, one person will overdose, everybody will buy from that dealer.
So it's a marketing strategy.
It's a marketing strategy, yeah.
Marketing by murder.
Cost of the funeral with the viewing, the cemetery, and the casket and everything was about $26,000. $26,000. Yeah.
And where'd you get $26,000?
Pay Paul, rob Paul, pay Peter.
This was not an elaborate funeral. This is not no bells and whistles. It was an average funeral with an average coffin with a 6-hour window of viewing. And it was $26,000. Easy.
Second, and after spending over $100,000 for treatment, and now I have to $26,000 on top of that, and I get nothing out of it. Heartache, pain every day because now she's not here.
I mean, there are a lot of people who made a lot of money off of your tragedy.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Funeral parlor.
It was a good business.
Cemetery, insurance companies, treatment centers. It's way out of control, this whole conglomerate. Well, that was my girl. And it takes a toll on the whole family. I want to wish it on my worst enemy. And it's still part of me. It's never going to be the same without